Hi, I'm Michael B from TrackandSolo.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how I arrange progressive house. Let's get started. Okay, what you're looking at here are several loops. Typically, when go from a loop and arrange it into a song, I usually only have 8 bars, which would be these two sections right here. However, I wanted to vary the melody a little bit, particularly towards the end of the song, because what I'm trying to achieve here is with my songs, I like to start off very minimally at the very beginning of the song, like the first section. Typically, it's 2 instruments or 2 sounds. And then for each section, as the song moves from section to section, more instruments are constantly added. So you're getting like a building effect. The song is sort of evolving. And then once you get to sort of a stripped down sound of the song, that's after that is usually when the drop comes in, and then I go back down to 2 instruments. And every single section, I usually, not always, but I usually keep adding 2 instruments to start building it up. I find that if I use just one instrument as you're traveling through the song, it just seems sort of forever to get there. It seems like it takes too long. So that's usually why I go with 2 instruments or 2 sounds. There are many occasions where I will just go with one sound because I want to stretch it out maybe a little bit, or it just feels right. But the rule of thumb is generally 2 sounds per each section. So the first section I'll have 2 sounds. The second section I'll add 2 more, which will make a total of 4 sounds or 4 instruments. The next section after that I'll add 2 more. That's 6. Once I get up to about 8, that's sort of a stripped down sound of the loop, and then that's where the drop comes in, and then I start rebuilding all over again from either 1 or 2 sounds, and then I keep adding again. In most cases 2 sounds, but very often, but not most of the time, sometimes I'll just add just one sound by itself. But what I'm trying to accomplish in this video is to just give you a very rough idea. At the end of this video, what we're going to end up with is something that's ready for a lot of fine tuning, a lot of polishing. At the end of this video, we're not by any means probably going to have a finished song, but we'll have a pretty good foundation of a place to start off at. But for right now, let's just get this song arranged, and this is typically how I do it. Now, before I go on any farther, I sort of want to explain. This is the full melody right here. This is the main melody right here. Okay. Now, if you go to these 4 bars right here, this is this exact same melody, but I took all the notes except one out of the 4th bar. This section right here, this is 4 bars. This and this is the same melody. However, I took the 4th bar with the exception of one note, and then I took the second bar out with the exception of one note. Because what I'm doing is I'm starting out with this note or this section, and then I'm going to this section, and then I'm going to be going back and forth from this section to this section throughout most of the song. And then as I get towards the end, then I'm going to throw this section in, and then at the very end of the song I'm going to throw this section in, because these two are the exact same section. However, this section, instead of removing the second and the 4th bar, I left both of them in, but I just bumped the second bar up one full step again to give it a little more interest. So this sort of adds into the building concept of the song. I am going to just quickly play the main part of this song for right now, which is, again, these 2 bars are going to be my main loop that I'm going to be copying and pasting to build out the song. But I'll just go ahead and play so you can get sort of an idea of what it's going to sound like. Okay, so that's pretty much the main part of this song. Let me just go ahead and play you both of these variations that are going to be towards the end of the song, and this one will probably be at the very end of the song, but I'll go ahead and play it for you real quick, and then you can hear the difference. Might help if I take it out of the loop. Let's try it again. Okay, so you heard that variation. The other variation that I didn't mention that is in here are my bass parts. Instead of going up for this section, I went down, but then I returned back to what mirrored this section right here. So again, it adds a little more interest. Listen to the bass part instead of the melody this time. And then I'm probably going to repeat that a couple times at the very end of the song. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, okay, this is the other part I might as well show you right now, is I'm looking for a song between 3 and 4 minutes. So what I'm going to do is to figure this out, even though this says seconds, this is going to give me seconds, but it's also going to give me minutes. Because I want to find out how many times I'm going to have to copy this to build it out to 3.5 minutes. So here's 3, here's 4. So as long as it's in this range right here is what I'm looking for. So first, the two ending parts that I said that I was going to save for the ending of the song. Whoops. Here, let's do this. Okay, gonna be stubborn, huh? Oh, this might be part of the problem here. Let me go back, because this wants to snap to bars and not to minutes. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I am going to move this way out of the way. Now I know that I need to drop it right about there, because I know we're going to be around 113 because I've done this so many times. So we'll go back up to seconds. We see that we need around 330. So I'm just taking my loop. Here I need to do all of it. And once again, we have to open this up. And I have to make sure that I get this right, because I at one time did this and I included an empty bar that I like, sort of a pre-roll, even though you in Studio One you can set this thing up to pre-roll and have this start at the very beginning. I just like having an empty bar at the beginning and not bother with that, just to make sure that when I do the mix down there isn't any problems. Okay, so I'm going to just keep duplicating it until I get to around the 330 mark, which is right there. And then what I used to do in the beginning, I would mute out everything like so. I would go ahead and set up my loop for the first section, which let me expand. I'm going to change this back to bars because it's hard to keep track when it's in the minute mode, and I go about 16. Okay, so here is our initial loop. We'll go ahead and put you on, and then at this point what I'll do is I'm going to unmute like 2 instruments at a time. Now I've done this so many times, and I have sort of a favorite way of doing this where I don't need to mute anything. I just instinctively know that I'm going to have these 2 instruments playing at the same time at the very beginning. And if for some reason I don't like it, then I can change things up a little bit. But the vast majority of the time, I always like to start off my song the same way. But for this demonstration, we'll just mute just a couple instruments at a time. So I'm going to, let's just do the plucks for laughs, and let's do, this is actually a loop. It says dubstep right here. This is a loop of a very simple sort of dubstep pattern. I like to use this with just some closed hi-hats that alternate between left and right, so they keep bouncing back and forth, left to right. The combination of all these three gives me a nice sort of spreading out of the hi-hats, number one. And number two, the dubstep, it varies in level where it kind of comes in and out, which adds a little bit of movement. So my hi-hats very easily sound like I spent a lot of time using automation to have the hi-hat sound come in and out. But that's the combination of all these three sort of put together that gives that effect. So I'm going to, let's just open up these three here. So it's closed hi-hats left and right. It's my dub loop pattern, and then just the plucks. And then let's just go ahead and listen to that. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to randomly just unmute instruments to see what instruments that I want to start the song out with. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and I'm just going to arbitrarily start unmuting things to try to listen to how I want the beginning of the song to start using two instruments. Okay, I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to, the first two instruments that I'm going to use, and this is typically what I always do, is I like to start off with the kick drum, and I like to start off with the melody to try to get the melody as sort of the hook that you'll hear throughout the whole song. It's sort of the most important part of the song is the melody. So that's generally what I like to start out with. So now that I know what my first section is going to be, now I'm going to go ahead and delete the sections that are not in my first melody, or not in the first section. Oops. This I may have to clean up a little bit. Okay, so now if you unmute everything, and we go back to the beginning, this okay, so then from there, I would mute all the other instruments, and I would play around with, like I just did with the first section. I would do that again with the second section. However, since I've done this a million times, I already basically know, not only from playing around with this song, but from typically the route that I take with my other songs, I kind of have an idea of how the rest of this beginning is going to go. So what I'm going to do is we'll go to the second section, which is right here. And I'm going to take this out. And then I'm going to decide, okay, which one of these instruments do I want to take out? And if for some reason, most of the time I like my first choice, but occasionally I don't like my first choice, it's just a matter of hitting the undo button and then all my instruments come back. So I don't have a problem with going through here sort of haphazardly taking out stuff. So I'm going to take out the chord progression and the plucks for this section, I think. I usually like to start in with some of my percussion instruments. So for this section, I'm going to take the bass out. I have open hi-hat. This I like to have at the second half of the song, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to variate the second half of the song from the first part of the song. So to have the first part of the song and the second part of the song sound exactly the same isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just sort of like a progression that goes through the song, so each section of the song does not sound identical to any of the other sections. We're sort of progressing, we're sort of building. So I'm saving all my hi-hat for the second half of the song. So I went ahead and deleted that. I have a ride cymbal that I'm not going to have come in right now. I'm used to having that come in later on in the first section of the song, or the first half of the song, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. The snare drum up here, I think I'm going to take that out too. I already have an idea for that, so let's go ahead and take that out. And for the very next section, for my second section, I'm going to leave this in here. So I'm kind of counting these three that I already explained, the close hi-hat and the dubstep loop rhythm. I'm sort of counting that as one sound, and then I also have this percussion sound right here. So let's go ahead and start it back up from the top, and then we'll be able to hear the first part of the song and then the second section of the song. Okay, so next, I already know, and again, this is very common in my songs, is I'm gonna have the bass come in for sure. So let me go ahead and line up. This is our third section, and I'm gonna go ahead and take out. I'm going to have the bass come in. So we're going to take the chords out, and so we want to keep the bass. I'm going to take out the ride cymbal and again the open hi-hat, because we're gonna save the open hi-hat definitely for the second half of the song. The ride cymbal is going to come in on the first half of the song, but towards the end. Okay, now the snare drum is going to be, I'm going to leave that. So for the third section, the two new instruments that we're adding is the bass and the snare drum. So let's go ahead and start it from the beginning. Okay, so you kind of get the idea of where I'm coming from here. Now, there are going to be changes that I'm going to make even to these three sections right here, because, like for instance, the bass line, I want to vary it from the main sort of loop of the song to add a little bit of interest. But for right now, I basically want to get just a very rough arrangement done, and then I'm going to come back and make little changes, because right now I think that the bass needs to be slightly different than the rest of the song at this point to add interest. And even the snare, probably what I'm going to do is I'm not going to have every single snare hit in here. It's probably going to be every other snare hit, which will add just a little more interest, I think. But let's just keep going, and let's just get the first overall sound of the completed song, the completed arrangement together first, and then depending on how much time, we can start doing some polishing. So let's go back to where we were. So the next section, we're going to add two more instruments. So I am going to, for this, I'm going to take out, I believe, the chords and the plucks. I kind of like to save my chords for the drop, and I already have an idea how I'm going to do it. And my plucks, again, I think typically I have these come in the beginning part of the song, the beginning half of the song, but I was playing around with this a little bit, and I think to change things up, the plucks are probably going to come right in at the drop. So the only thing that I'm going to add right now is the ride cymbal. I'm going to add the ride cymbal in as my one instrument, and instead of having two instruments come in, because I'm going to come back and for the previous section right here, because I'm going to pull out half of the snares, so it'll be alternating instead of every half note. Actually, I could probably just do this really quick just to give you an idea. In lieu of only coming into one instrument, I'm going to get rid of every other snare drum, just so you can sort of get the effect of what I'm going, because the whole idea is just to add interest to each section, to make each section sound a little bit different. And adding two instruments is, again, a rule of thumb, but I don't always use it. Sometimes I can achieve it in other ways, and that is by basically what I'm doing right now. I don't think that I screwed this up. Okay, let's just go ahead and listen to it so you get an idea. Let's take it from the top. Okay, so you notice the difference by just having half of the snare hits in there, and then in this section right here, then you have all the snare hits playing. So it adds a little bit of a difference than the first section. So that's why I think that it works a little bit by just adding just one instrument and making that variation. The bass sound, again, I already played around with this, and I think I'm going to change this right now. I'm going to vary the bass up a little bit. I'm going to mute the sub bass, because I have two bass here. I've got the sub bass and the high bass. They're exactly the same part. It's just everything is EQ'd over 100 hertz, and for the low, and then for the high, everything is EQ'd out under 100 hertz. And then I also have this side chained with the kick drum. But this, I already know, because I've already sort of played with this, is this first one. Let's get rid of all these. And just add, is this the right one? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to duplicate this. So this is the ho, the same note. And after you do this, a lot of times, I have no problem repeating a lot of the stuff that I do just over and over, just because I like it. It doesn't bore me, and the end result that I like is the most important thing at all. If it sounds too repetitious, like too much of the same thing for some people, then that's fine for them. But okay, so this is just the G going all the way through, and then for the second 4 bars, it's going to pick up this G. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I'll play it this way, but I think I'm probably, not only did I change this, but I think I'm going to change these 4 bars as well. But I'm just going to give you, I'm going to pick it up from here, not from the beginning, but I want you to hear this bass part. See, that sounds a little bit better. I was even toying with the idea of these 4 bars are all G. This starts in G. I was even playing around with making the second bar also in G. This is one of those sort of toying around, trying it different ways, part of arranging that I kind of do as I go. But for this video, I want to make sure that I get an overall the overall arrangement done, so you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this. Okay, I'm going to play it one more time for you. Okay, I think it sounds a lot better doing it that way. And while you're arranging, you can kind of imagine like I may have a cymbal in here or some sort of accent towards the end of this that'll take us into this into the next section of the song, or really when the song really starts going. This, I would consider this whole section right here more of an intro, and then once the song really starts playing, once the melody really starts playing in this section right here, that's a basically stripped down version of the song itself, or of the loop. What I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do is this is going to stretch out the song a little bit, but I think what I want to do here is I'm going to change some things up. Or maybe I shouldn't. You know what? I think I'm just going to leave everything the way that it is, because as I said before, I just want to give you sort of an idea of how to arrange these things. So let's just listen to it one more time, and then we'll move on. Okay, so that's that section. Typically, I like to have the chords come in during the break and during the second part of the song. So I think what I'm gonna do, because I'd kind of like one more section of just this. Well, let's try it anyways. Let's try this. Okay, so let's do one more. We'll do one more section and then we'll do the drop. Once again, so let's go ahead and include this into our loop. Here's another 8 bars. I'm definitely going to use this in the drop, so let's remove it. I think we're gonna try to put the chords in here. I would prefer to leave that for the drop and the second half of the song, but we're gonna need something different. But I kind of want the beginning part of the song to sort of keep going at least for one more section. So we're gonna add this again at so I'm going to take that out there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slight change to what we had going here. Okay, so to add our 2 instruments coming in at this point, I think when the chords come in, I think that's when I'm going to have the ride cymbal come in. So I'm going to take out this part. So the ride cymbal isn't going to come in as early as it did before. And then our dubstep loop, I think I'm going to, instead of having it come in with the close hi-hat, I think I'm going to take those out. So we got the percussion parts up here with the hi-hat. And then for right here, we've got the bass and we got the snare drum with alternating and with half of the amount of snare hits coming in. And then for this section, we've got the dubstep loop, and then we have all of the snare hits coming in. And then for the final section of the first part of the song, we will have the chords come in and we'll have the ride cymbal come in. So let's go ahead and take this from the top and go. Okay, actually we could probably have that go one more time. It sort of feels like I want that to go for one more section. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll add another 8 bars to our loop. And I'm going to go ahead and take out the plucks. I'm going to go ahead and take out that hi-hat that we're going to save for the close, the close hi-hat. No, the open hi-hat for the second half of the song. We'll leave the ride cymbal in here. We'll leave everything just the way it is because this is the main meat of the song. So we'll listen to that twice and then we'll go into the drop, which will be roughly, as you can see, in the center of the song. Okay, so one last time, let's just take it from the top and then we'll work on the drop. Okay, sounds a lot better. I'm a little torn whether or not, as much as I like this, the chords in here on the first part of the song, I usually really like to use it as part of the drop and the ending part of the song. But I think, in the interest of time, I don't want to play around with things too much. I just want to give you sort of an overall idea of where we're going with this. Okay, so this part is the drop. This is when we're going to strip everything down, and I've already sort of played around with this, as I'd mentioned before, and I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to strip everything down to just one, and it's only going to be 4 bars too, or as opposed to an 8 bar section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me see, how do I want to do this? Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. I am going to move everything 1 bar, and this, our plucks, I'm going to put right in there. So the beginning part of our drop is going to be, that's when the plucks are going to kick in by themselves. And in fact, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add a little bit of automation, because this is going to sound rather abrupt, just coming in like this. However, if I add some automation to this, I want this to fade in. Okay, so this is our volume here. So I'm just going to play just the ending part of the first part of the song, and then we're going to go right into those plucks, and you'll be able to hear what I'm talking about. Okay, so they got the idea of that. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to move it. I think instead of 1 bar with the plucks by themselves, I'm going to go 2 bars. So let's go ahead and move everything again. And this did not move. I think it might be because of this. Fix that. And we want to put that in our hole there. Okay, let's listen to that again, and then you'll get even a better idea of what our drop's going to sound like. Okay, so you get the point. So now for the next section is going to be here. And I can add it to my loop, even though we're not really using the loop on here. I'm going to go into just the melody this time. I'm going to add just the melody, and I don't know if I want to add anything else to that or not. Let's try it without it. And like I said, we can always go up and hit the undo, and everything will magically reappear. Hit the ending of this again. Okay, add two more instruments. I am going to add, let's go ahead and this will be our next section. I'm going to have the kick drum come in. Let me see, do I want the kick drum yet? I'm going to come in with just the chords. So let's take everything else out. And again, we're kind of adding one instrument at a time here. Let's take everything out. So we'll just add just one instrument, which will be our chords. So let's go ahead and listen to what we have. Okay. As you can see, we're getting longer because I keep making the song longer. What I could probably do is after I've listened to this thing like a million times, there'll be parts of the song that'll just seem like it's kind of going too slow. So in that instance, I may remove a bar. So instead of having, let's say, 2 bars right here, or actually not 2 bars, instead of having 8 bars right here, I may remove 4 bars, so it'll speed up the beginning part of the song, and then I can still keep it between 3 and 4 minutes. But that's something that I can sort of whittle away in a little bit. Okay, at this point, I definitely want the kick drum to come in, and I'm not sure if I want the bass part to come in yet or not. Definitely want the kick drum, but I want one of these other instruments to come in at the same time. Maybe I'll just go for it. I'll just add the kick in there. Okay, I'm going to bring it right from here. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. It ran across my mind while I was deleting everything, and I deleted it anyways, but I'm going to have the bass and the kick drum come in at the same time. That's what we'll do. Okay, let's try it again, and I'm going to pick it up right from here. Okay, in fact, let me do this. Just in the interest of time, where I varied the bass part right here, I want to do the exact same thing right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to paste it. So when this kicks in, this is going to be identical to this right here. Okay, let's try it again. kind of get the idea here. So next section, next 8 bars, same deal. What do I want to take out? This is where the song is really going to sort of take off. So I'm going to save the close hi-hat, or the open hi-hat, I should say. So let's remove that. I'm going to take out the ride. The ride is going to come in the next section, so I'm going to take that out. And I think that we're just going to let, in the interest of time, we'll have the snare come in, and we'll have all this percussion stuff to come in for this section. Okay, so I'm going to, again, take it from here, and then you can get the idea. Okay, I'm going to go one more section. Here's what I want to do. This is going to be the next section. I'm not going to have the ride cymbal or the hi-hat come in yet. I think I want to drag this out just a little bit farther. So let me take this out. I'm going to take, this is the dubstep loop. I just messed that up at the end. And I'm going to take that out. And then remember over here, to add a little variety, I deleted every other snare hit. I want to do that right here because I really like that effect. So for this section, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave the first hit, take out the second, take out the fourth, do that, 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 and that. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Oh, and then when all the snare hits come in, then the dubstep will come in with the rest of the percussion parts, and that I think will work. Okay, let's listen to that. Okay, I don't particularly like that. I think that I probably should have just left it alone. Um, Let me see if I can get this back really quickly. Those are all the snare hits. Okay, I think that was it. Okay, so forget about what I just told you. Okay, so in this section, again, let's just get rid of the hi-hat. And then we'll have the ride cymbal come in at that point. Once you get a really rough arrangement completed of the entire song, then you can go back and keep tweaking this. But as I'm doing this, I'll come up with an idea, and I don't want to wait to try it. I want to try it right now, and that didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted to. So the next section, the hi-hat will come in, or the ride cymbal. After that, the hi-hat will come in. Let's go ahead and play that. And then remember, I have a couple variations that I want to throw in at the very end of the song. And as you can see, we're over the 3.5 minute, but that's okay because I'll probably come in and take these 4 bars out right here to make the drop a little bit shorter. And I may do something with this beginning and the end, but you'll at least have kind of an idea of what I'm working towards. So let's go ahead and, I guess, in the interest of time, let's listen to it first, and then I can drop our ending section in here. So let's just listen to it one last time. Actually, I just got another idea. Okay, I'm going to add one more thing in here that I think will make it a little more interesting. My percussion parts, let's move that up. And of course, it's not going to. Let's move that up. Come on. Why are you not moving up? There. Let's try it again. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you have to do this. Stubborn, eh? Okay. Thank you. All right. And let's go ahead and do this. And we'll cut this off at the end. Okay. I decided that I wanted the percussion parts to come in at the bass and the kick drum. So let's listen to that now. This should work. the idea. I'm going to drop this section in, I think right here, because I know I can hear it in my head that the variation that I'm doing, will fit right in here. And this will get us back within our around 3.5 minutes. Let's just look to see what we have. Time base, seconds, little over 3.5 minutes. The main thing is that it's between 3 and 4, and I still may remove cut some of these sections down to just 4 bars as opposed to 8. So let's just listen to the ending part of this song here. I'm going to put this back, the time base back to bars. And let's just listen to where the hi-hat kicks in. Okay, I think that I would like this ending section to go on one more time. And I think as far as a real rough arrangement of this song will be completed. So let's listen to it again from where the hi-hat kicks in. Okay, let's run through the whole song one more time from beginning to end, and then I think that'll be it. Let's play it. you have it. That is basically a very, very, very rough arrangement of the song. Still a lot of work ahead, but at least you get the idea of how to get to this point. If I taught you something today, if you've liked this video, please like, please subscribe so you can get more videos like this and on some of the other topics. And we'll see you next time.